What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling great. Let's get it in. So, you see, my channel is not here to make you believe me or to make you a believer. I don't give a damn. I'm just here providing information, and I'm just looking for answers. You know what I mean? But let's get it in, though. So, on my other video, on my reincarnation video, I asked if the soul, consciousness, spirit, whatever you want to call it, if the energy can come back infinite amount of times, like forever, what's the point of life? What's the point of human existence? And for the soul contract people, the kid that I showed in the first reincarnation video, right? If you watched it, why did he come back? Did he not learn his lesson? Did he come back just to solve his own murder? Like, why would he come back? And for you religious people, he didn't go to hell. He didn't go to heaven. He didn't go to some afterlife. He came right back here. Can anybody explain that? He didn't went up to heaven. He didn't went up to anywhere. Why did he came back here? I know it's going to be hard for some people to comprehend that the idea that you are a soul, consciousness, energy, whatever you want to call it, the I can come back infinite amount of times. Now, it goes back to my other question and what I was asking before. How does the reincarnation cycle work? What's the process of that? Is it how you die? Is it something you're supposed to do? And if that's the case, how would we know? How do we know our soul mission or our soul purpose if we can't remember? What's actually going on here, ladies and gentlemen? What is actually going on? Unless you got powerful group of entities, spiritual entities that have knowledge of reincarnation, that probably got something over you that you don't even know. Maybe there's a war going on that you so happen to forget. Maybe they're using reincarnation as a form of a weapon or as a trap to keep you trapped in here. Because look at the word reincarnation. What does it sound like to you? Reincarceration, prison, reincarceration. Again, because, right, when you study a lot of these reincarnation cases, almost all of them remember bits and bits of their past life, to the point where they can even solve their own murder if they was killed. You know what I mean? So if I'm controlling physical reality and I'm controlling billions of so-called humans, wouldn't it make more sense if I take away your memory on what you are, where you came from, or why you here? Wouldn't that make more sense if I just take away your memory? Then you're not gonna remember anything. You have to start all over again. Think about a video game. When you have no memory, you have to start the game all over again. Video games technology mimics reality, but that's a whole nother subject. I want to focus on reincarnation. Your memory is key. If you can't remember anything, how will you learn? Could you imagine you're a little kid? Your parents tell you not to put the fork inside of the socket. You did it the first time, and it let you crease your ass. And then I come over and wipe that memory away of you getting shocked, of you picking up that fork. I completely wipe out that memory. You're gonna pick that fork up, you're gonna stick it in there, and then get zapped again without you even knowing that you already was zapped. You couldn't remember. Why? Because I took away your memory. So you see what I'm saying? We need memory to grow. That's how we learn. We learn from our memories. Oh damn, I can't do that. So I can't do that. So I must, learn from my mistakes. I gotta learn from my mistakes. If I have no memory, how can I learn? And for those of you, right, I know there's gonna be some people that don't believe our memory can be wiped. Boy, ask me this question. Answer this question for me. My bad. Do you remember every single thing since you were 7 years old? I'm talking about down to the details. Most of y'all can't even remember what y'all ate 5 months ago. You can't even remember what you did the last 5 weeks ago. Do you remember what you did 2003? August 15? Do you remember? Of course not. You got no memories of it. Even though you experienced that. And you experienced that, but you cannot remember. So where does your memory go? And I'm telling you, I feel like there is, right? In my opinion, obviously I can't get prove it quite yet, but my opinion, I think they're using the reincarnation technology or whatever the fuck, they're using it against us. Because your memory is being wiped, brother. Why would I have how can I control billions of people on a planet that have memories? Think. If everyone on the planet had memories of their past life, they're gonna be like, well, what the fuck I'm doing here? I don't want to be here no more. Everybody gonna commit suicide. Most people not gonna want to come here. Not only that, they're gonna learn from their past mistake. It's gonna be total chaos here. So it would make more sense if we wipe their memory at birth. or wherever you're at before you reincarnate into a human body. You know what I mean? So are you trapped here? Huh? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue.
Near the border of Syria, a boy claimed to have remembered being murdered. No one took him seriously until the village elders dug up a corpse from the spot where the boy said that his former body was buried. They soon realized that there was an axe mark on the skull of the corpse, which corresponded to a birthmark that was on the little boy's head. Later, the boy showed them another spot where he claimed the murder weapon was buried, and sure enough, he was right again. He then led the people to another village claiming that it was his previous hometown, and when he told them his previous name, the villagers said the man disappeared 4 years ago. Finally, in that village, the boy confronted his murderer after showing all the evidence. The man eventually confessed and was charged with murder. So,
we used to laugh and call him an old man.
Quirky and cute, says Erica Ruhlman, that her 2-year-old son Luke seemed obsessed with safety in and around their suburban Cincinnati home.
Very cautious about, like, crossing the street, anything that might be hot or dangerous or high.
And then there was that other fixation.
I think I specifically asked him, why did you name the ladybug Pam? And he said, I just think it's a nice name.
Soon, everything was Pam, with increasingly peculiar comments.
He used to say when I was a girl I had black hair, or he'd say, I used to have earrings like that when I was a girl.
The stay-at-home mom wondered, where was he getting these ideas? Luke's answer changed their lives forever.
I was like, who is Pam? You know, out of frustration. And that's when he turned to me and looked at me and said, well, I was. And I was like, what do you mean you were? And he was like, well, I used to be, but I died and I went up to heaven. I saw God. And then eventually God pushed me back down. And when I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke.
Now she was really confused.
She called me and said, you know, something weird is going on.
Erica's mom, Lisa Trump, remembered a book she'd read in the 70s by the late Dr. Ian Stevenson, who clinically studied past life claims.
We started to realize that perhaps we did actually have something there.
But with a terrifying twist.
So I decided to go ahead and ask him further, do you remember how you died? And he looked right at me and said, well, yeah, it was a fire. And at that point, he made like a motion with his hand, like he was jumping off of a building.
A tall building in a big city where Luke said he walked a lot and took the train.
I was like, you sure it's Chicago? He said, yes, I remember it was Chicago. It was Chicago.
Erica plugged the information into the internet.
And that's when I came across the Paxton Hotel.
The Paxton Hotel, a residential building in a predominantly African-American Chicago neighborhood.
You know, just asked him, I was very casual about it, like, Lukey, what color was Pam's skin? And he just looked right up at me like, duh, black.
In March 1993, a massive fire raced through the property, trapping most residents. 19 died, including a woman in her 30s named Pamela Robinson.
Pam had jumped out of a window to her death. I was really kind of weirded out by it at this point.
And it was about to get stranger. While working with the documentary show Ghost Inside My Child on the Lifetime Movie Network.
You want to look at these pictures?
Erica and Luke's dad decided to put the now 5-year-old to the test.
I had found a picture of Pam, and we had put it on a sheet of paper with a bunch of fake pictures.
What's familiar mean?
I didn't really think that he was going to pick the right one.
But with the cameras rolling,
I know someone I can recognize.
But I remember when this one was taken, and he pointed to the correct one.
It took me a couple days to wrap my head around it. I couldn't sleep. I thought about it constantly.
They say immediately their thoughts turned to Pam's family still in Chicago. We reached out to them. They said no comment at this time. However, a family member did speak with Erica, and she says she discovered even more similarities.
The
I know that Pam was a big like Stevie Wonder fan, and Luke like really likes that era of music. She played the keyboard a lot, and one of the things that Luke, his favorite toy at the time, was this little tiny piano that he would tote around with him.
And just as Erica was becoming truly connected with Pam's memory, Luke let her go.
It's like he got it all out, he was finished, and he had nothing more to say about it.
But the family continues to share their journey with anyone who will listen, not seeking fame or fortune.
We didn't receive any money for the show.
They tell Luke's story because they say it's a message that needs to be told.
It's a positive one. It is one of unification, it is one of love.
I think it tells us that we shouldn't define the soul by race or gender out of the mouth of babes.
I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we are not the body. We could come back as a woman or a man or a white, black, don't matter. But I want to play back the clip. I want to touch on a few things that was said on this video.
Forever.
I was like, who is Pam? Out of frustration. And that's when he turned to me and looked at me and said, well, I was. And I was like, what do you mean you were? And he was like, well, I used to be, but I died and I went up to heaven. I saw God.
All right. He said he died and went up to heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, this part right there is why I think it's extremely important for the powers that be. You wouldn't know or believe in heaven or know about God if you wasn't taught or programmed about it here in this third dimensional reality. Notice how he said heaven and God. What if that place he went to is not the heaven we think, and that so-called God he's talking about is not the God that we think? What if these were entities that pose as God? What if these were entities that made, that have a place that looked like it could be heaven, looks like, and then God told you it's not your time and for you to come back to earth? Why? How come God don't want you in heaven? What did you do? He didn't put you in hell either. So when he said, to me, when he says heaven and God, I don't think it's the heaven or God that you guys are programmed with. I think these are other entities that masquerade as God and created this false idea of heaven. And this is why it's extremely important for them to brainwash you with the idea of heaven and the idea of God. Then when you so-called pass away, you'll see a place that's almost heaven-like, or you'll see an entity. You automatically gonna assume that's God, because when you was down here, you didn't really did no research. All you did was believe in God and believe that heaven is this white heavenly light. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. But let's continue.
And then eventually God pushed me back down, and when I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke.
Now she was really confused.
She called me and said, something weird is going on.
Erica's mom, Lisa Trump, remembered a book she'd read in the 70s by the late Dr. Ian Stevenson, who clinically studied past life claims.
We started to realize that perhaps we did actually have something there.
And then you even got people studying this shit. You got people that study past lives, y'all. If it was nothing to it, why would people waste their time and do that? You see, you don't want to believe that. Or you want to believe that you're the physical. Or you want to believe that you only got one life. That's the program. You don't understand that, you don't understand that your soul is infinite, dude. That's what you don't understand, man. Like, This is proof right here. This kid said he was a black woman in the fucking 80s in Chicago. He was a black woman. Now he's a white kid. He's a white kid now. So all you racists, all you racist people out there, racist for no reason. Because you could come back as a black man. You could come back as a white woman. And another thing, and I want you guys to notice this too. Notice how the system love, divide, and conquer. The system love to push racism. Why do you think they shoved George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin down your throat? The George Floyd down your throat. The recent stuff that happened with the Asian and the black, when the dude went in there, they said he was stealing or something like that. Now they got the blacks versus the Asians. The white versus black. They want to keep, the division going because it feeds the matrix. They want you to fight amongst each other. Meanwhile, your soul, your consciousness, it's not white, it's not black, it's not Jew, it's not Japanese, Asian, or whatever. These are things and constructs that we made up in this third dimensional reality. They got women versus men versus women. Like, come on, man. All of this is part of the war, right? And I'm telling you, I feel like we are in a war currently. A spiritual war and a physical war. And I stated back earlier in my video that this whole reincarnation shit, it has to be some kind of warfare to where they wipe your memory and then you don't remember shit. And then you keep coming back here, you don't remember shit but your past life. And you know, stories like that, plenty of stories like that proves that, man. And if these stories are fake, someone would have to take every reincarnation story, I'm talking about every single last one of them, right? They'll have to take those stories and try to prove that they're wrong. There's over 1,000 different stories. You will have to prove all of them wrong. So they're all making it up. We talk about people from different countries, man, different background, different religion, different languages, dude. So they're all making that shit up. Your tiny human brain don't want to admit that there are some things that's beyond your understanding. There are some things that's beyond your comprehension, dude. Not only that, right? It destroys any religion. Every religion that's out there that says when you die you either go to heaven or hell. They ain't going to heaven or hell. They're coming right back here. These people are coming here. And for the people that believe, oh, nothing happens when we die, it's just blackness, nobody knows what happened when we die. Well, we know people come back here. And we done show proof of that. Kids solving their own murders because they remember their past lives. So why they keep coming back? Well, how come they're not in heaven like your religion say so? How come they're not going there or hell? Like your religion claim. Mainstream religion doesn't teach reincarnation whatsoever. I'm talking about the mainstream one, the ones that shove down your throat. Think about the biggest mainstream religion that everybody partake in. They don't teach reincarnation. There's kids coming back and remembering their past lives. How do you... Come on, man. How do you explain that though? And it's something else I wanted to touch on, right? Earlier in this video, I'm gonna play it back.
Son Luke seemed obsessed with safety in and around their suburban Cincinnati home.
Very cautious about like crossing the street, anything that might be hot or dangerous or high.
That right? You see what she said? Anything? Hold up, play it again.
And then there was that other fixation.
I think I specifically asked him, why did you name the ladybug Pam? And he said, I just think it's a nice name.
While she's saying all of this, it makes me wonder, how come some people have fear of water, fear of heights, fear of, you know, just having unexplainable fear and you don't know why. Maybe that's because maybe, you know, someone might have thrown you off of a bridge, or you might have a fear of water because you might have drowned in your past life, or you might be attracted to certain things because that's what you liked in your past life. Right? And then you hear about children who by the age of 6 and 7 already know how to play the instrument. Why? Because that's their past life. They're already tapping into their past lives, man. People who are drawn into certain things, they can't even explain why they're drawn to it. But let's continue.
Soon everything was Pam, with increasingly peculiar comments.
He used to say when I was a girl I had black hair, or he'd say I used to have earrings like that when I was a girl.
This is a 5-year-old kid, ladies and gentlemen. Nah, he's a boy in this reality. You remember, how can why would a 5-year-old white boy tell you that he was a black woman in the 80s? How come he come up with that? How come he come up with that idea on his own? Why not a white woman? Motherfucker say black kid, dog. I mean, a black woman. So race is an illusion. You hating on a black person is an illusion. You hating on a white person is an illusion. You hating any race on this planet is an illusion, folks. It's a game we playing. Don't you get it right now? Don't you get it by now? It's a game. Well, if he can die and come back any race, then what the fuck? Nothing matters. If he can die and come back any gender, then it doesn't matter.
The stay-at-home mom wondered, where was he getting these ideas? Luke's answer changed their lives forever.
I was like, who is Pam? You know, out of frustration. And that's when he turned to me and looked at me and said, well, I was. And I was like, what do you mean you were? And he was like, well, I used to be, but I died and I went up to heaven. I saw God. And then eventually God pushed me back down. And when I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke.
And going back to the God situation, right? Where he was saying, right? I don't think. My bad, y'all. The God he's talking about, man. I don't think that's the God people think. Like I said before, I don't think that's the God that people think. I think those are the archons pretending to be God, or the entities pretending to be God, and that's why they push them back down. No explanation, no why. You know what I mean? It just come back here against his will. God didn't give him no purpose. God didn't give him no idea. God just gave him a new race, a new mom, a new everything. You know what I mean?
Now she was really confused.
She called me and said, something weird is going on.
Erica's mom, Lisa Trump, remembered a book she'd read in the 70s by the late Dr. Ian Stevenson, who clinically studied past life claims.
We started to realize that perhaps we did actually have something there.
But with a terrifying twist.
So I decided to go ahead and ask him further, do you remember how you died? And he looked right at me and said, well, yeah, it was a fire. And at that point, he made like a motion with his hand, like he was jumping off of a building.
A tall building in a big city where Luke said he walked a lot and took the train.
I was like, you sure it's Chicago? He said, yes, I remember it was Chicago. It was Chicago.
Erica plugged the information into the internet.
And that.
But yeah, you guys get the gist. I just want to say this, right? As he got older, the memories start to fade, just like with us. None of us remember when we was a baby. We don't remember 1 through 5, period. But we experienced it. We just don't remember it. So your memory could be gone. So why is it so hard to believe why is it so hard to believe in reincarnation story? Again, energy cannot be created. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change its state. That's it. This is why you can come back as a woman, or you can come back as a man. Not only that, you can come back as any fucking race that you want.
Kids who remember their past lives. Sam Taylor, a year and a half after the passing of his paternal grandpa, Sam Taylor was born. Sam believed he had once been his grandfather. Sam's father was replacing his nappy when he was 1.5 years old. Sam said,
when I was your age, I used to change your diaper.
After that occurred, Sam gradually started referring to him as his grandfather, Janie. Janie was born with 2 birthmarks on his head. When he first began discussing his previous life, he was just 3 years old. He said that he had been a professor by the name of Buakai who had been murdered one day while traveling to work. Buakai was also discovered with an exit wound on the back of his skull, indicating that he was shot from behind. James Leininger. At the age of 2, James Leininger made statements that seemed to indicate he recalled the life of an American aviator named James Houston who died in World War II.
What happened to your plane? He said, it crashed on fire. Who shot your plane? The Japanese.
Kids who...
Do you have a rebuttal for people who believe in reincarnation?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's not happening. All I can say is that there's no good evidence for it. And so you can run around believing things for which there's no evidence. Most of that is called religion. Okay? So
I would push back on that. I think that there is...
Push back on what?
I would push back on the statement that there's no evidence of reincarnation.
Oh, what's your single best evidence of reincarnation?
I got one.
I've heard. Please tell me.
There's that girl that when she first was able to start speaking, she told her family that she died in a past life. They went to the Philippines. They found where her body was dug up, and they ended up arresting the guy that she found in her village that killed her.
Look at his face. First of all, Neil deGrasse Tyson is an agent. He's not going to go out and say, yes, reincarnation is real. Despite all the goddamn evidence that there is. Despite that there's actual doctors that's out here studying past lives. There's been people that went to jail because of some kid that remembered their past life. That is real, ladies and gentlemen. Bro. He's an agent of confusion. Look at his face. He's an agent of confusion. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a puppet. You cannot look for him for the truth. He might tell y'all bits of truth. Yeah, he's an intelligent guy, but you're going to have to, start thinking on your own and stop looking up at these guys just because he got some fancy degree and some shit. Man, this guy's a clear agent, man. He knows the truth.
Do you have a rebuttal for people who believe in reincarnation?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's not happening. All I can say is that there's no good evidence for it. And so you can run around believing things for which there's no evidence.
Not only that, right? I showed y'all there's evidence all over the world. People from different background. What is he talking about? Did Neil deGrasse Tyson research each of these reincarnation stories? We're talking about all over the world, y'all. People from different background and nationality and different languages have almost a similar story. That they remember their past lives and shit. So they're all making it up, man. You see, that's that bullshit. You see, that's why agents exist, man. To start confusion, man. They're the agent of confusion, man. They want to keep you locked in here in 3D thinking. They don't want you to expand your mind. They don't want you to think that the possibility of reincarnation. They don't want you to think that. They want you at a certain state of consciousness, man. Again, my video is not here to make you a believer. It's to make you think, to question everything. So, all these people lying. You know what I mean? Then again, right? Excuse me, y'all, but again, if they start telling you, yes, reincarnation is real. If they tell you that, you know it's real, but they're not gonna put it in mainstream. They're not gonna start teaching that, because if they start teaching, well, if reincarnation is real, and I could come back, whether I could come back white, black, tall, short, or whatever, man, woman. If I could come back, then what the fuck is reality? It's like you playing Grand Theft Auto, right? You know how you play Grand Theft Auto? Nigga, you don't care how many times you get shot. You gonna come right back. It's not gonna matter. The game's not gonna matter that much. But if I can make you think that, wait a minute, you only got one life, I bet you play Grand Theft Auto differently. You'll start playing the game differently, just like you're doing it now. Well, I only got one life, so let me make sure I do this correctly. Let me make sure I do this right. Let me make sure I give my life to Christ, or I give my life to God. That's how they get you. They make you think like you're just one tiny human. They only got one life. It's just war here, dog. It's a spiritual warfare going on, my dude. You got false entity pretending to be gods. You got false entity pretending to be angels, telling you that you need to go back to earth. It's a warfare out here, dog. They wiping away your memories and shit, man. It's a warfare out here, dog. So earlier in the video, I said, look at the word reincarceration. Right? Now let's look up the definition. Reincarceration almost sound like reincarnation, huh? Almost spelled the same, but we're gonna look up the definition of reincarceration, right? Reincarceration is the return of formerly incarcerated individuals to correctional facilities, typically due to new crimes or technical parole or probation violation. So, it got something to do with prison. You're in prison. Sometimes I like to talk about we're in the prison planet, right? Look how similar the words look. Reincarnation, reincarceration. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the truth is hidden in the words. That's not by accident. Look up the infinite symbols. What does the infinite symbols also look like? handcuffs, prison. Right? I know how y'all know. I know you guys know what a handcuff look like, but how to show a picture image, man. Look just like the infinite symbol, huh? Look at this. That is the infinity symbol. Handcuffs. Can't go nowhere, you're locked. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the truth be in the words. Reincarnation, reincarceration. It's not by accident. It is a spiritual warfare going on, ladies and gentlemen. Entities that control the physical realm also control the spiritual realm. If you can control what's going on in the spiritual realm, you can control what's going on in the physical realm also. You know what I mean? But anyways, y'all be good. Y'all still wear. And your boy's out.